Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial Group.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Aaron Lapidus, Vice President of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful Olivet, Missouri. I'm a licensed investment advisor, representative, and financial planner, and we help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan. A written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind. First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on so they can do all the things that they'd like to do during retirement. And third is cost-effectively addressing their healthcare needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage. And after they're done enjoying their assets, we help them pass it on to the people that they love, whether it's their children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their investment advisors and wealth managers, we watch their money every single day to make sure that you're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Good morning. I know it's shocking not to hear my sweet father's voice on the radio, but I have some exciting news for everyone that, he's a little sad he wasn't here to share since he's out on the golf course. We have a new member of the team. His name is Robert. Good morning.
Good morning, Aaron.
Come closer to the microphone. Join us.
Good morning, Aaron.
There you go. Robert joined us just, 2 weeks ago now as our new life insurance coach. My dad and I kind of decided that in an effort to continue to expand not only the breadth and depths of services that we provide our clients, we needed to add some additional staff with expertise to help with the changing environment of taxes, of estate planning, and of preparing people to have a hopefully successful and financially worry-free retirement. Welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I thought, as usual, we want to kick the show off with letting everyone know that we are live and local. We have a lot of things on our mind. What is more important is what's on yours. So please give us a call. I heard the phone lines were very quiet last week. 314-931-5877, or you're welcome to text us. The line is open, 84126 from the text line. Please, any questions about retirement planning, the market, investment advisory services, we are here to answer those questions. As it's the second, weekend of June, we have our monthly newsletter. We call that the Coach's Corner. You can access it by logging onto our website, jblfinancial.com. If you click on the pop-up box that appears in the lower left-hand side of the screen that says sign up, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter. We send that out every single month. Or you can click in the upper right-hand corner. The Contact Us section will allow you to ask us a question. Those emails come directly to us. If you'd like to sign up for the newsletter that way, just leave us your email address and phone number, and we will get it out to you every single month. Let's take a few minutes and talk about what's in our June newsletter.
Let's.
So, the first article is always an infographic, so you'll have to subscribe to the newsletter to truly get the full feel of this article. But basically, it's talking about GDP growth being the highest it's been in 37 years. And I know with the market turbulence of the last week, the pretty negative numbers that came out on inflation and on consumer confidence on Friday seem a little abysmal. But I think that, it's important to keep in mind that unfortunately, we're always going to experience these business cycles. We're, potentially headed into recession, but there are bright spots in our economy, one of which is that companies are still making money. The U.S. is still producing both on the goods and services side. That's what that GDP number reflects. We'll probably hear a lot about the GDP number moving forward, only because it's one of those things that's an indicator as to how the economy is faring, both comparatively over time and, in other situations like we're currently experiencing. Our second article is A Wealth of Information, How to Read Mutual Fund Prospectuses. So many of you receive these in the mail when you purchase a mutual fund through a broker-dealer. Many times you don't see this when you are purchasing your mutual funds through your employer-based policies, or your employer-based plans, rather. That's all wrapped into one for you. But if you've ever gotten a booklet in the mail that has one of the fund companies on it, you might be wondering what is in all of this. And essentially, this article kind of talks about what a prospectus actually is, what's contained inside of it. So when you're looking at your fund, you'll have an idea of what you've actually purchased, be it inside of your retirement plans or inside of maybe an IRA account that you have outside of work, or if you're directing funds after tax in an investment account. So it's a good article to take a look at. It'll give you a nice perspective on what all of that information is. Maybe you'll break one of them out on a boring night. Need to sleep.
Oh, this is exciting reading.
It's exciting reading. The third article is, should you consider tapping the equity in your home? And I know this is something that a lot of people have been considering, because if you're not interested in selling your home necessarily, but you would like to extract some of the equity when valuations on homes are so high at this moment. Maybe you're looking to do some renovations, or you're paying for college tuition for children, for grandchildren. You're looking for cost-effective ways to help finance those things. A lot of times when home values rise, that's an opportunity for you to take advantage of some of the new equity in your house. There are several different ways that you can access home equity, and it's important to consider what your objectives are, what the costs are, what your long-term goals for the home are when you're making this decision. For example, you can do a cash-out refinance where you're refinancing the house for more than you owe on the mortgage to take that in cash. You can do a home equity loan, which means that you've essentially created a second mortgage for yourself instead of wrapping everything back into one. And sometimes these come with higher costs because you need more documentation, more work from the bank in order to achieve these. The third would be a home equity line of credit, which we often recommend to clients because it's a very low-cost way to create a little bit more equity, to create a cash reserve for yourself that you only access if you actually need it. The nice thing is that what you're going to do is most banks allow you to lend up to about 80% of the equity that you've built inside of your home. The great thing is you pull off of this as if it were a credit card. So if you needed it for home renovations, or like I mentioned, maybe some college tuition, something along those lines, you pull out the amount that you need based on the home equity line that you were offered, and you have a 10-year amortization, which means you have 10 years to be able to pay it back. You're also going to get more favorable rates than you would on a credit card, which has just a 1-year amortization, much higher interest rates. And that's oftentimes where we see people get in trouble in terms of trying to service debt, is when utilizing credit cards over maybe some more cost-effective options. And the final article is about naming a trusted contact. So this is slightly different than we oftentimes talk about naming beneficiaries on your accounts, which is important in the event that something happens to you. You'd like to be able to pass the assets on to the individuals that you care about. You don't want your estate to end up in probate. But a trusted contact works a little differently. They don't actually have access to your account information, nor do they have access to make any decisions on your behalf. But what they this trusted contact does give you the opportunity to name someone that can receive information about your accounts in the event that you're incapacitated, knowing where they are, knowing what the distribution amounts might be, so they can, hopefully continue to help you to run your estate. It's a little different than a power of attorney in that they don't actually have control over your assets, but it is an additional person there that might be able to help you out if you're unable to manage your finances or you need a little bit of a conduit before your power of attorney is able to step in. So, with all that being said, again, you can access the Coach's Corner. You can find it online on our website, jblfinancial.com. You can click in the lower left-hand side of the screen in the pop-up box that appears. It says sign up, or you can scroll to the middle of the page and click sign up, and you'll be able to access our newsletter if you just send us your name, email address, and phone number. While we are waiting for your texts at 84126 or your calls at 931-5877, I thought that we should take a little bit of time because Robert's our star of the day, our new guest of the day. And we've spent several weeks talking about different life insurance scenarios that we've seen. But I thought maybe it might be a good opportunity to talk about, do I really even need life insurance?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I do, personally.
Certainly. Do you have any?
Do I have any life insurance? Currently, no, I do not have any life insurance, and that might be a mistake on my part. Before we get to that potential error, let's hear from Bob on line 1. Good morning.
Yes, hello.
Good morning, Bob.
Good
How are
morning.
you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Great. Thanks for calling and breaking the ice. What can we answer for you today?
I was chatting with some friends, and we're all at an age where our kids are, just about through school. And interesting, we got to talking about life insurance, and a lot of my friends around the table were all starting to, or at least thinking about taking down or dropping their life insurance policies because they looked at life insurance as, a way to be there, have money in case something happened to them to help get the kids through college and so forth.
Sure.
And I, on the other hand, look at life insurance as the best way to shove wealth down to the next generation.
Sure.
So I guess I'm just curious as to what you guys think. It was interesting. There were two very different views of what life insurance is really all about. So that's my question.
Thanks, Bob. And it's remarkable, almost as if you knew exactly what we were going to talk about. We find that we have many clients in not only your situation, but in your friend's situation, and that you purchase life insurance for a specific reason. Essentially, you were, creating capital to pay a debt. You mentioned to pay for college tuition. Many times, younger couples purchase life insurance to potentially pay for mortgage debt if one person were to pass away, or the other option would be to create capital where there is none. For example, you lose an income earner because someone's passed away prematurely. You want to make sure that your family's able to maintain your lifestyle. But then what happens when, you run the gauntlet and you're getting close to retirement, most of your debts have been paid, you had a 30-year mortgage, maybe you've paid that off, or you can maintain that mortgage without much issue. Or in the event that, you no longer have these college tuition bills to pay, what do you do with this life insurance? And I think there are a few options here. Depending upon the type of insurance product that you've purchased, if it's a permanent contract, you can always look at maintaining that death benefit. There are a few ways that you can do that without having to even continue paying premium. You can take a look to see if the cash value inside the contract is earning enough in order to pay those premiums. So you might be able to apply dividends to premium in order to maintain the value of your death benefit without having to pay anymore. Why would you give something up that you get for free?
Exactly. And not only that, why not take advantage of what some of the settlement options could be if you weren't looking to carry that policy forward?
That's a great point.
You could surrender it for the cash value and just surrender the policy. You could wrap it into a long-term care policy.
Sure.
And avoid paying some of those taxes if you had returns on dividends beyond what premiums you've paid. So you could certainly take a 10-year certain, a 20-year certain, a life income from that cash value. So there are plenty of options that you have to exercise, just because you don't need it for the death penalty.
Death benefit anymore?
Death benefit. Penalty.
Well, right. No penalties. Well, and let's kind of dive into a couple of those options. The first being you could surrender the policy. So what happens there is whatever premiums you've paid in, that's considered principal. Whatever growth you've had, that's going to be taxable to you as growth inside the contract. So let's say you paid into a policy over the past 15 years, has a cash value of $60,000. You've paid $30,000 in premium. You've got $30,000 in taxes to pay. Or the alternative would be you could utilize one of the settlement options that Robert just mentioned. And what happens there is you get to split that taxable amount, so the gain inside of the contract, over a certain period of time. It could be, like you mentioned, a 10-year certain. You want to pay out over the next 10 years because you have some expenses to pay. Maybe you were paying college tuition and now it's time to finish off paying the mortgage on the house. You need a little bit of extra income. This might be one way to grab at it at lower taxes, at a lower taxable rate. You can create, a fixed stream of income for yourself over 10 years, like we mentioned, over 20, or even over the course of your life, depending upon the size of the contract or the amount of income that you're looking for. The other thing to consider is now that you're moving on to a new phase of your life, like Rob mentioned, doing a 1035 exchange, which means taking that life insurance policy and the cash value and moving it into another like contract. It could be an annuity that might down the road create an income stream for you. It could be a long-term care policy, which would then alleviate all the taxes on that growth if you use it for long-term care. Or you could use it to build on your life insurance, and this is something that we've talked about quite a few times on the show, which is you no longer have a debt to pay, but now your children are going to have a debt to pay when you pass away, because for most people that are are 55 and older, they've spent their entire working careers stuffing money into retirement plans pre-tax, which means someone has to pay the taxes on it. You'll pay the taxes over time as you're liquidating that account to maintain your lifestyle in retirement. But when you pass those assets on to anyone that's not a spouse, they're going to have to pay taxes. And now that the laws have changed, they're going to have to pay taxes over a 10-year period, completely liquidating your IRA account, which means they could have a pretty significant tax burden. And I think this really points to what Bob was talking about, is how do I either maintain the size of my estate for my children or make it even bigger? So we don't know a lot about Bob's asset mix, but one way to maintain the size of Bob's assets would be, let's say he has a $500,000 IRA. Most likely he won't be draining that over the course of time if he's prudently withdrawing. Over the course of his life, he's probably going to pass away with at least the $500,000 that he has in his account. So now his kids are going to have $50,000 a year, if he's just got the one, maybe more, to pay in taxes as they liquidate that account over a 10-year period. Wouldn't it be great if Bob prepaid those taxes for his children by maintaining a life insurance policy? The kids receive the death benefit non-taxable, so they're able to pay those taxes and maintain the size of their dad's IRA. It's
a wonderful tool if you're looking to preserve capital and not give it to the government.
Right.
If you have these tax obligations, this is just a great way of not passing them forward. You can deal with them now, whereas the people you really want to leave your assets to can enjoy those assets and have the comfort and security that come with it and not have to worry about having to pay Uncle Sam.
Right, and you're paying insurance company pennies on the dollar to maintain a death benefit. Sometimes if you've maintained policies for as long as many of our clients have, they can apply those dividends to the premium in order to make them self-sustaining, where they'd already paid in everything they needed to, and now they've created these policies that are going to provide dividends in the future for them by being able to help pay those taxes, as opposed to your children being forced to pay, I would say, dimes on the dollar, right? Because most people are going to be in at least the 10% tax bracket. Adding any IRA, which is, traditional IRA income, anything that's currently in 401ks that'll eventually move into an IRA. Once you leave your employment, or if you're already retired in your IRA, all of those assets are going to be taxable to your beneficiaries. So I think now that it's 9:25, let's take our first break of the hour. When we get back, we'll continue a little bit more about our life insurance conversation. I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach, and we'll be right back.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all areas. If you're a small business owner, listen up. Pi Insurance wants to give you one of those aha moments, the kind that could save you money. Workers' comp is probably one of the biggest costs you face. But did you know that insurance providers have flexibility in setting their prices? That's right. But many don't bother giving small businesses the savings you deserve. Instead, you can get lumped in with other businesses and overcharged. Pi Insurance was created to change that. With Pi, you get a quote tailored specifically to your business, and you could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. And with helpful representatives just a call away, it's easy to understand why Pi is rated excellent by customers on Trustpilot. Take 3 minutes to see how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or go to trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Well, we are the St. Louis Corvette King, and we do have plenty of Corvettes in stock, very unique ones, low-mile ones, perfect pedigrees, but we're always looking to acquire more. If you have a Corvette you want to sell, simply go to our website, mastercarsinc.com. Under inventory, just go to sell us your vehicle and put in all the information. We'll make you an instant cash offer. So if you have a low-mile, well taken care of, just perfect, flawless, frontline ready Corvette, we want it. Even if you owe money on it or have a payoff, we'll make the payoff and cut you an equity check. It'll be a very simple process, very streamlined, and keep this economy churning.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. We're in the second half of our first hour, and we were talking about different uses for life insurance, and we were so wrapped up in Bob's question that I completely missed the text line. We have a few texts that have come in. The first one is relatively general, but I think it's on everyone's mind, which is concerning a recession. Just how bad can it possibly get? Like, how much worse can it get? And what is the average time frame for a recession to rebuild or end? So recessions are unfortunately unpredictable because the circumstances that force us into recession are different. I mean, we've already experienced a forced recession in 2020 because of the COVID shutdowns that was completely unique to any other recession. But I think the average length of time is 11 months as it's been recorded. I don't know what the impact is, from month 1 to month 11. How bad could it get? I mean, we're experiencing relatively high prices from everything from gasoline to cars to food. So I know that people are feeling the squeeze right now. I'm not sure if this is in reference to like how would you feel as an individual in terms of job loss. That's usually what ends up happening, unfortunately, which is, companies have to cut back. The first couple of places we see that are at, marketing revenues, which is why we've seen such a dip in some of the higher flying tech companies in the market as a front runner. Then, labor costs have to come down. Those are usually the top two things that we see to start. So we might see that unemployment number rise again. But if we're referencing what's the market do in those situations, usually, the market's a leading indicator, so it's going to front run the bad news, which is kind of what we're experiencing now, I would say. And then hopefully it's going to front run the good news, which is while we're still experiencing a lot of the unpleasantries of what a recession looks like, we'll start to see our account values recover, hopefully, and that usually adds to a positive sentiment. People feel like they have more money, which means they feel more comfortable spending, and the cycle reverses itself, and we see a new high.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better yourself.
You stole all my thunder. You took it all.
Don't I always? Next question. Do you know if long-term care policy premiums qualify for a healthcare retirement account withdrawal? I do know the answer to this, and unfortunately they do not. So this is a great question because it's very clever. If you have an HSA, which is a health savings account, that type of account is always yours. You're fully vested, is what they say. If you have an HRA account, that's one of those types of accounts that's employer-based. You have to use it within the year or you lose it. And there are very specific rules around what you can use inside of your HRA, and also your employer generally has some control over that. Robert, I know with your past employer, you just experienced this with an HRA account, which is, some companies cover dental work under the HRA, other companies don't.
This is true. Very unfortunate.
Right. So you have to be careful in what you are attempting to get reimbursed. HSA accounts do allow for health insurance premiums if you're no longer a participant in the plan. So if you're on COBRA, or if you're paying Medicare premiums because you've reached the age of Medicare eligibility, they'll allow for dental, they'll allow for life insurance premium payments. So they have a lot more flexibility than the HRAs, which are generally employer-based and have more restrictions. So unfortunately, no. However, one of the loopholes that you might look into with long-term care premiums is they do count against your overall medical expenses if you are looking to itemize on your taxes. So adding in those premiums in addition to any medical expenses you have might help you reach that 10% threshold, where anything over that would be deductible for you. So there are some options, but unfortunately, using your HRA for long-term care policy premiums is not one of them. All right. So, again, as we are waiting for some more of your excellent text questions at 84126 or phone calls 931-5877, we'll move on to, Rob's had the chance to sit in on some of our meetings over the last couple of weeks, and we've had a few first appointments.
Love those.
Right? Isn't it great to see people looking to retire, hearing about, all of the fun exploits they had over their working careers, what their plans are? Exactly. It's nice to be invited along with everyone on their retirement journey. But I think that, we spend a lot of time talking about game plans for retirement. So, what really is a game plan for retirement? And I think the best way to talk about this is we like to use a little bit of a sports analogy. I think it's really relatable, especially not only in this market environment, but when people are looking to retire and they're feeling like they're spending more, they're not able to save as much, their retirement accounts aren't looking as nice as they were 6 or 8 months ago when they started this journey potentially. It's important to know that although we don't know when these times are coming, we were planning for these things even when we were enjoying new highs in the market, when we were seeing low gas prices and no inflation. We knew eventually times like this would come. So it's important to have a plan in place for the good times, but also for the leaner times. So what we like to do is have a playbook not only for offense, but also for times like this. We'd call it defense. The first thing that we always start with is a cash flow game plan. And what does that really mean? It means how much does it take to run your life? And the simplest way we've found to figure this out is, what are you spending every month? It's not a budget. It's not making tough decisions on how often are you going to be able to eat out, what are you going to have to give up. It's really just a reflection of what's the expense that it takes for you to maintain the lifestyle that you currently have. And the easiest way to figure that out is look at the accounts that we'd call them working capital accounts, right? Where is all the money going into? Where is it all coming out from? Is that number staying relatively the same from the beginning of the year to the end of the year? Is it growing? Are you going into the red? Are you needing to use credit cards and other debt instruments in order to maintain your lifestyle? Well, obviously that means you're running a negative cash flow situation that maybe you're able to cover over because you've got continuous income with work. That might be something that we'll want to take a look at. If it's staying the same, that means you're spending what you're bringing in. If you're seeing an increase over time in your checking account or your working capital account, that means you're spending less. So keying in on that number is the number one piece of the puzzle in our minds. The second piece is insurance planning, and we spent the first half of this hour talking about one component of that, which is life insurance. Do you have the pieces in place that are going to protect the capital that you've built, or are going to maintain that capital for future generations? And it's not just about life insurance, which would help deal with taxes, helps deal with debt, helps deal with income replacement. But it's also what happens in the event that my spouse or myself is ill and we have increased expenses due to long-term care. How do we cover that? Other forms of important insurance that people don't necessarily think about in terms of a financial game plan would be umbrella liability coverage, which will help protect you in the event of will provide additional coverage on top of your auto insurance, on top of your homeowner's insurance, to protect you against litigation. The other important piece of the playbook is investment planning, and we often call the cash flow game plan the science behind your retirement game plan, and the investment planning really is the art. That's how are we going to design a portfolio that gets you the cash flow that you need. The reason we don't generally talk about investment planning on the radio is, number one, we're not able to because of compliance. But also because that's really putting the cart before the horse. We need to know where you need to go, how we need to get there before we can design a portfolio that's going to take us to those places. Another important component is tax planning, not only during life, but like we've talked about a few times now, after you pass away. How do you want, what's the most cost-effective way to pass assets on, not only to your children, your grandchildren, but if you're looking to donate to charity, how do you make that happen in a tax-effective way? You know what? We have another text question that's come in. So before we continue, let's not let them wait. Good morning. Do you have an opinion? We always have an opinion.
Yes, we do.
Do you have an opinion on what the expense ratio of a mutual fund is reasonable? I have limited choices in my work-sponsored plans, and they are all 1.25, so 1.25% or higher. So if you are limited by your options inside of your retirement plan at work, 1.25, it depends on what type of funds you are looking at. I'm not exactly sure where the parameters are here as to how far I can go, but international funds tend to be more expensive. funds that are more actively managed, meaning you can take a look and see what the turnover rate of the investments underlying that mutual fund are, tend to be more expensive. Considering the expense ratio is a very important component of making your elections, but I would say it's not the only factor. If your retirement plan at work is offering you a match, I would definitely take advantage of that and continue to contribute there, as opposed to saying, these expenses are too high, maybe I should take it somewhere else. That also means that maybe that's not your primary vehicle for retirement plan savings, in the sense that you are contributing just to the match, and then maybe you're taking some of your other funds elsewhere to find some lower expenses. Without being able to fully review all of your options, it would be hard to make any true recommendations as to what direction you should go, but I would say that generally you'll see more expensive funds, expense ratios in those international funds, as well as more highly traded funds. So hopefully you'll be able to get a little bit more information, or you might want to sit down with the rep that is assigned to your plan, because every time you make a contribution, they receive a little piece of commission. So they're being paid. So make them work a little bit for you and ask them about some recommendations, because they'll be the expert at those choices and can provide you with some education. So, next question. When should someone start planning for retirement?
Immediately. Immediately.
No jokes?
No jokes. I mean, it's not going to happen. You don't want to wait till, you're 62 and a half and, maybe I don't want to work till I'm 85.
That is a great point. I would say that everyone really starts planning for retirement as soon as they end up in their first job that offers them a retirement plan. Are you going to make a contribution or not? Isn't that really the first decision that you make?
Yes.
But I would say if you are approaching retirement, okay, before I get to my full answer here, we have a comment. You're going to need to lean closer to the mic when you talk there, Robert, because they want to hear your docile tones and they cannot. A faint voice.
Understood.
Your faint voice in the background. It's okay.
I will now swallow the mic.
You're not the only one I mock on the air, so you're in good company. If you're approaching retirement and you're looking at what are your options, it's never, again, I think Robert's right, it's never too soon to start, because, we can always lay the groundwork for what it's going to look like 5 years from now when you make that decision. Also, it gives us the opportunity to really plan out what your options are, and really set some goals. So whenever you're ready is the right time to get started, because there are a lot of pieces. There's a lot of homework, I would say, for individuals that are looking to really plan out their retirement. Not only do you have to collect all of the financial documents that you have picked up over time. We often find that people, you collect things. You collect knickknacks for your house, collect furniture. You collect financial instruments over time. You had a friend that sold life insurance, so you bought some of that. Somebody offered you an annuity potentially, and you said, that doesn't sound so bad. I could use that later on. And you pick up all of these things over time. Well, when we get to retirement planning, that's the time that we put all of these things together. But not only that, we have to put together, hey, you've been living, for most people that know they're approaching retirement, they know they've lived within their means. They've created some nice savings for themselves. And the truth is, people don't really change their habits in retirement, and we don't want them to. You want you to be able to live the same life you were living the day before you retired as the day after. So we got to get a handle on that. What are you spending every month? Like we were just talking about with what is a game plan for retirement? What's your cash flow? What are you spending every month? Do you have the right insurance products in place? What's your investment strategy been? What should it be moving forward? Have you planned for taxes? Do you have retirement options at work that are going to lead to tax consequences? For example, do you have stock options to exercise? Do you have retirement plan assets to move. And then finally, estate planning. What do we do with these assets when we're done enjoying them? What's the most effective and efficient way to pass them on to our family, or friends, or churches, or charities, whomever that might be? And really what our function is as coaches is to assess the talent that you have, assess all of the things that you've collected over time, identify where there are strengths and weaknesses, where we might need more insurance, or maybe we might need less, and develop a plan to get to where we want to go. I think we'll take our second break of this hour, and when we get back, we'll continue talking about what is a game plan for retirement.
This Ag Update is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Farmers will continue to see fluctuating commodity prices. Number of planted acres for commodities, inflation, higher input cost, and weather are some of the factors that will keep commodity prices in a volatile state throughout 2022.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has premium brand ag and heavy-duty parts for farm equipment maintenance and repair. Visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
When you go antiquing at the Hill Antique Market, you'll help support more than 75 local vendors and artists. The offerings keep growing. Enjoy a delicious lunch at Oliva Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 2. Then unwind every Wednesday during Wind Down Wednesdays from 5 till close, where you can enjoy an amazing menu of small plates paired with your favorite wines. And if you're looking for a spectacular venue for a reception or corporate party, consider renting the beautiful and memorable La Verona. It all happens at the Marketplace on the Hill at 4923 Daggett. Online at cateringstlewis.com.
Parents, it's time to cross off life insurance from your to-do list. With Fabric, protecting your family with great term life insurance is easy, fast, all online, and affordable. Fabric's policies start at less than $1 a day. You could be approved on the spot with no health exam and no risk. Cancel anytime. Stop putting it off. Apply today at meetfabric.com/future. That's MEET fabric.com/future. Fabric Insurance Agency policies issued by Ventus Life. Not available in New York and Montana. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
Hey, it's Heidi along with Josh, inviting you to hang with us this Tuesday, June 14th at Wild Birds Unlimited in Warson Woods.
We'll be there from 3 to 6, so stop by and find everything from the freshest bird food to the best selection of high-quality bird feeders, even binoculars.
Wild Birds Unlimited also offers decorative nature and garden gifts, truly bringing people and nature together.
That's this Wednesday, 3 to 6 at Wild Birds Unlimited, 9987 Manchester Road in Warson Woods.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back. Jeff's not with us today. He's out enjoying this beautiful sun, golfing. That's why I get to call him Jeff, since he's not in here. He'll kill. So please, while we're waiting for more of your text, because the text line has finally started to liven up this morn, 84126 if you have a text question and you'd like it answered, or give us a call, 931-5877. Also, if you're looking for a personalized coaching session and you'd like to come in and see what this is all about, maybe meet the mystery man sitting so far from the microphone today, give our office a call, 314-863-0008. And Kelly, our office manager, will set you up with a day and time that works best for you, so we can design your game plan. So we did get a few text questions during the break. When should a lawyer finalize setting up the trust? So if you've already prepared the document, basically, i.e. the tax number, etc., the tax number, the tax ID number during life, if you've set up a revocable trust, is going to be usually the husband. If you're married, Social Security number. If you're single, it's going to be your Social Security number. If you've already paid to go through the process of setting up a trust, I would recommend executing that immediately, because you want to start moving the assets that you've described in the trust into the trust. And what does that mean? If you have checking accounts that have your personal name on them, or the name of yourself and your spouse, you're going to want to get that changed into the name of the trust. Your home, if it's something that's included in the trust, basically anything that's been outlined in the trust as an asset, you want to then retitle in the name of the trust. Because what happens is, at your death, if those assets are not titled or beneficiaried, meaning you have beneficiary designations on your retirement accounts, usually that goes from spouse to spouse, and then there's a contingent beneficiary, that would be the trust in this case, in many cases. If these assets aren't titled with the trust's name, they don't go into the trust, which means the trust doesn't control it. Which could mean probate, or it could mean that, for example, let's say that you had a trust that said you wanted to pass all of your IRA assets on to your grandchildren, and you have them listed in the percentages. But your IRA account says that you're leaving first, the primary beneficiary is your spouse, and then the contingent beneficiaries are still your children. That means that the beneficiary designation on your account is going to take precedent over the trust. So you spent the money with the attorney to get this prepared, and then your wishes really aren't executed. So I would say, once you've finalized your thoughts, you've had them written down by an attorney, it's time to leap into action. Get those documents, get those accounts retitled, get your assets retitled if you've included those in the trust. And the first step of that, like the texter mentioned, is to get the tax ID number and make it official. So, on to, we spent a few minutes in the last break, or before the last break, talking about what is a game plan for retirement. We talked about the different types of planning that are involved and what a coach's function really is. But it's also important to keep in mind that, if we're thinking about this like a football game, where the investment advisors were the coaches, your players are the different assets that you have, the different cash flow that you have available to you. Not every possession starts on the 20-yard line, which means not everything's going to go perfectly. You're not set up in the red zone every single time we want to make a decision. We have clients now that have made the decision to retire, and even though things don't look as rosy as they did before, we're still going to move forward because we have a plan in place. So, we have to keep in mind that there are things that you can't control. One of which, injuries, right? Changes to the health in players. That could be changes to the health of your family members that, you obviously didn't anticipate. Someone needs long-term care. Someone is diagnosed with cancer. They need treatment. It changes not just your finances, but it also changes what your goals were in retirement and what that retirement might look like.
You have penalties.
That's right. We call the penalties the ups and downs of the financial markets.
And we're certainly experiencing them now.
Right.
Gas prices, inflation.
Sure. And those are all things that it's important to factor into your game plan. But what I can say is, especially when we're talking about inflation, and I think it's important to take a quick moment on that since it's been such a big topic of conversation. People are making choices. It's getting harder to make those choices in terms of what they're spending money on, but working with so many different clients, having set up their game plan sometimes 10, 15 years ago, I can say that we're not yet seeing our clients impacted by inflation in the sense that they need more money than what we had originally planned. So what that says to me is people that are on a fixed income of choice, meaning, we set up what their cash flow needs need to be, and they're committed to sticking to those. It doesn't mean that they don't have excess capital to take, but maybe they're, not looking to spend more than we planned. They're making choices on how they're spending that monthly income. That doesn't mean that's going to persist, but so far we've noticed that if we plan correctly for what you're spending now, if we factor in taxes and give you a little bit of a buffer there is an unquantifiable number that goes into what it costs to go to work. Gas, which is quantifiable now. All of the cookies and wallpaper and things that you buy from your friends at work, their kids are selling. Lunch out all of the time, maybe even breakfast. It gets reabsorbed back into your budget in different ways. So if we take all of those factors into account, we found that luckily most of our clients have been able to ride out this wave of inflation for the short term. The third thing that could happen in retirement and has happened is rules changes or interpretation of those rules changes. So for example, tax laws have changed. Notice that beneficiaries are no longer able to take their required minimum take your IRA out over the course of their life. They're going to have to liquidate much faster. Social Security laws have changed. 5 years ago, they really changed the strategies in which you were allowed to take your Social Security benefit. Well, that had a huge impact on the plans of many people looking to retire because it changed their cash flow. And then the final thing,
field conditions.
These are the things that happen in life, and they don't have
deaths,
good things.
Divorce, other financial situations. We'll call it the oops category.
That's a good category. Or it could be oops in a good way or a bad way.
Just things you didn't necessarily plan for that now are here upon you.
That's right. And if you have a playbook, being prepared for all of these contingencies, it really puts you in a better position to make financial decisions. It's like we've discussed quite a bit. You don't want to be making investment decisions while the market's falling. You want to have already put your plan in place. It's the same idea in retirement planning, which, the things that happen in our life become much more stressful than just watching account value. So having plans in place or having a roadmap and a game plan to follow when these things happen makes it a lot less stressful. It also, provides you the opportunity to make clear-headed decisions, whereas, in stressful times, often that's not what happens. Yeah, no. All right. Now that we've really talked about what a game plan is for retirement, we have a couple of moments left before the end of our first hour. So I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about, what a retirement game plan is, what happens in a coaching session. So now you know what the result of a coaching session is, what it actually happens when you're in that coaching session with us. Well, we're going to go through all of these different game plans. How much do you need every month in order to retire? And the way that we are able to get to that information is when you give Kelly a call in the office and you ask for a first financial coaching session, we're going to send out a list of documents to you, one of which is a financial questionnaire. And I think it's relatively brief compared to many of the other questionnaires I've seen out there. Just ask for your personal information, name, where you live, spouse, children, how many grandchildren you have, what your income is, what your expenses are, and then a list of documents so we can take a look at all of the pieces of your financial life that you've put together over time. We're going to take these two components and say, okay, what are you spending every month? What do you have in terms of fixed income, Social Security benefits, potentially pension, and your other assets? Can we make these two pieces work? Do you have enough capital in order to make your lifestyle work? Also, where are those sources of income coming from? And, when are they available to you? And then the final thing we'll do is we'll identify any gaps that we see or any issues that we see coming down the pike that we want to have the opportunity to correct. And that's why getting started, like you said, early is the best way to do it, because it gives us the opportunity to course correct before your big day comes. And then the final thing that we'll do is create a dynamic investment model to meet your income needs regardless of what market conditions are, because as long-term investors we know that although our investment strategy might change based on market conditions, we're going to stay invested over the long term, because for most people you have the potential to be retired for longer than when you were working. I think if you retire in your early 60s, you could be here till your 90s. So with that, we will take our last break of the hour and be back after the news. I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
The home of McGraw-Millhaven, KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The March for Our Lives taking place across the country.
No child should ever have to use a calculus textbook as a potential weapon in their classrooms.
A speaker at the march in Oxford, Michigan, where a school shooting last December left 4 people dead. ABC's Ike Ajachi's in Washington, D.C., where thousands are expected to turn out. Organizers say their goal is to pressure lawmakers into doing more to curb gun violence.
Earlier this week on Capitol Hill, families of gun violence victims testifying before lawmakers, like the parents of 10-year-old Lexi Rubio, one of the 19 children killed in the Uvalde massacre, whose funeral will be held today.
We seek to raise the age to purchase these weapons from 18 to 21 years of age. We seek red flag laws, stronger background checks.
Democrats in the House passing the Protect Our Kids Act on Wednesday, a sweeping gun reform measure. But the bill is expected to fail in the Senate, where negotiations continue on a more modest measure.
Inflation remains a key concern for millions. It's at its highest level in more than 4 decades, and President Biden said Friday addressing it remains a priority of his administration.
I understand Americans are anxious, and they're anxious for good reason. I was raised in a household when the price of gasoline rose precipitously. It was the discussion at the table. It made a difference when food prices went up.
And overnight, the national average for a gallon of gas reached $5, according to AAA. ABC's Mary Alice Parks says there are political stakes.
Heading into these crucial midterm elections, 80% of Americans in ABC's latest poll say inflation is an important factor in how they will vote, and only 37% approving of Biden's handling of the economic recovery.
Effective at midnight, people traveling to the U.S. from other countries will no longer be required to get tested for COVID-19 before their departure. Airlines are welcoming that news. You're listening to ABC News.
You can unlock more cash than you realize from your home's equity with a cash-out refinance today. In the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. And with Rocket Mortgage, you can unlock thousands in less than 3 weeks. But you've got to act right now before rates go up. So when you're looking to unlock the cash in your home, Rocket can. Call 8338-ROCKET today or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started.
Rates current as of 12/12/21. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Number 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The next public hearing for the January 6th Select Committee is set for Monday, and Thursday, committee member Liz Cheney revealed the committee had evidence a number of Republicans in Congress had asked then-President Trump for pardons in the immediate aftermath of January 6th. ABC political director Rick Klein explains the significance.
It takes this from the past tense to the present and future tense, because these are people that are still in Congress now, and they, like many other Republican office holders, are clinging to the false notions about the last election. One of the committee's big tasks is to establish not just what happened in the past, but the ongoing threat to democracy. And when Liz Cheney mentions this or calls this out about members of her own Republican conference in the House, that adds to the urgency of this.
Republican Congressman Scott Perry from Pennsylvania denied seeking a pardon. There's concern as the summer swimming season gets underway about possible drownings.
Between a nationwide lack of lifeguards and fewer children who got swimming lessons during the pandemic, there are concerns about this summer. But already, Colorado is on track for a record number of drownings this year. The victims not typically children in pools, but adults recreating on fast-moving rivers. Haley Spurrier is with the Poudre, Colorado Fire Authority.
You get sucked into certain parts of this river, you are not going to be able to just swim your way out.
Later snowfall this year is creating later runoff and fast-moving rivers. Alex Stone, ABC News.
This is ABC News.
Thanks, everyone, for baking your way here on this toasty morning. Are you all ready to jam? Excellent. Before we get rolling, let's start by hashing out everything bagel we'll be discussing. Profit margins are okay, but they could maybe be butter. Sorry, I don't mean to waffle. Next quarter, it's all or muffin. Did you have a question, Sausage Patty?
My name's Patricia.
When you can't take your mind off breakfast, it matters where you stay. Delicious breakfast available at our Hilton family of brands. Hilton, for the stay.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back, and we have everyone but Jeff Lapidus in the studio right now. Frank, our Medicare coach, has joined us for our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment. Robert, our life insurance coach, is still with us. So, Frank.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
Nice to see you. So, we're having technical difficulty of some sort. You got it? Cool.
Perfect. I was
There
a
we
little
go.
loud in my ear.
That's like the first time that's happened. Usually it's like, cannot hear. All right. So, Frank, tell us a little bit about Doug.
Yeah, so this week I wanted to bring up something with Medicare. I get a lot of questions after my meetings with folks.
Sure.
Asking me to build them some sort of email or something that we talked about, and just kind of personalize it in ways that they could better understand.
Sure.
So I thought that I would bring one of our clients, Doug, to the attention today of this. So Doug is one of our clients. He's a retired construction worker.
Great.
Been a client with you guys for many of years, and of course coming on to Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug was just having a hard time understanding this Medicare thing.
There are a lot of pieces to it.
A lot of moving pieces to it, and it seems like what the reaction I'm getting is the more that people try to study up on this stuff, the more they come in confused about it.
I like to call that analysis paralysis. There's just like so much information on Medicare, and it's really because it's a government program at its base.
Yes.
So there's a lot of complicated rules. There's a lot that you can read. But I think, Frank, that you do a nice job, and we'll get into, Doug's situation, of really breaking down what you need to know.
Absolutely.
Because what I always say is you don't know everything about your current health insurance. Like, you didn't study up on group health care benefits and ERISA. You don't know.
Right.
You know what it costs to go to the doctor. You know what doctors you're able to see. You know how much it costs you every month to either pay your premium, see your doctors, pay your prescriptions. You know where you could fill your prescriptions. And after that, you know your maximum liability. And much more out of that you don't really care about.
That's right.
So I think that a lot of what these Medicare coaching sessions are about is really laying just that out.
Exactly, because that is probably the most important things that you pointed out. You're going to know those deductibles. You're going to know how much you're paying your doctor. You're going to know how much you're paying for your prescriptions. And those are the most important key elements that we want you to know whenever you come on to Medicare. Okay. So Doug, him and I are sitting there, and I'm going through this presentation. I promise you 2 or 3 different times. and you know me, I'm very patient. I'm going to sit there with Doug for 2-3 hours if we have to until he understands this stuff or until he says, Frank, I can't take it anymore. I got to leave. Send me an email.
Take it anymore.
So Doug has given me that look as we're sitting there going through this 2 or 3 different times. And you've been through this before. You've probably seen that look
of
I'm not sure what you're saying right now.
confusion.
Right.
Exactly.
I'd like to cover this up because, I think it's funny because so many people come in and say, like, I thought I was a smart person. Well, you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you didn't spend every day of your working career like Frank and I have learning about Medicare.
Exactly.
You spent, like, I'm not going to include Frank in this. If anyone asked me to build anything, it wouldn't happen. So.
That's right. Yeah, you're very, very right. I wouldn't even be able to know where to kind of start with that.
Right.
But with Doug,
Mm-hmm.
since we were having a conversation about, his past and him being a construction worker for 33 years,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, maybe he can understand this stuff if maybe I bring it down and talk it in his language, talk it in construction terms, talk it in his career that he knows the lingo of construction careers.
Got you.
So finally, after the third time of going over this stuff and seeing that confused look in his eyes, I kind of broke it down to a different way of presenting it.
Okay.
So we all know that Medicare Part A, if you've joined us before, that Medicare Part A is your hospital coverage. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything. Okay, and as we talked about, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of elements to this stuff. So Medicare Part A is not the full story. When Doug and I were talking, when we were talking about his career with construction, I asked Doug, I said, what are the three main things you think you need to do a construction job properly?
Okay.
Okay. We both agreed that you need tools,
Mm-hmm.
you need safety gear,
Okay.
and you need those blueprints.
Okay.
Okay. So we kind of broke Medicare down like that in order for him to understand it in his own terms. So I said, okay, well, let's think about it like this, Doug. Your Medicare Part A, that's your hospital coverage. That's your tools. Those are your hammers, your wrenchers, your saws, your levelers, things like that.
Right, because all the tools at the end of the day are the same. Like a hammer is a hammer, a screw is a screw. So we all start out with the same tools.
Absolutely.
Even if we have slightly different jobs to do. So everyone gets Medicare Part A. Everyone's got the same tools to start.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Now that Part B, this is going to be your doctor's coverage. So we know Part A is hospital. Part B, that's going to cover your doctors.
So that's like everything but prescriptions.
Yep.
So everything else from your doctor's visit to the screws they put in your hip.
Absolutely.
If you need a replacement. Okay.
So the way that I formed it to him is think of Part B as your safety equipment. That's your hard hats, your harnesses, your gloves, your eye protection.
Again, things that everybody has to have. Everybody gets A and B directly from the government. So everybody's got tools, everybody's got safety gear. Okay.
Absolutely. And when you have those tools and you have that safety gear, hence you have your A and your B of Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
you're still not ready for the construction job.
We don't even know what job you're doing.
We don't even know what job we're doing yet at this point.
Okay.
So we have that A and B only covering us at 80%. Okay?
Right. So now we need the last 20 somehow.
So now we need that last 20%, and that's going to be your Medicare C. Excuse me. That's going to be your Medicare C, and those are those blueprints.
It was like perfect for added emphasis.
You didn't know my voice could get that high, huh?
Right.
Didn't know it could
Like
crack
a
that high.
soprano. All right.
So, and putting it in those terms and just thinking about how can we get people to understand Medicare more? What's the best way to reach our client base so that they actually understand this stuff?
Because understanding brings comfort. And I would say the blueprint is just like a great analogy because everyone's building something slightly different, which means all the supplements available, the A through L that are lettered, the Medigap policies, those people are building certain things. People that have Medicare Advantage plans, you're all building another type of house. A and B make up the basis of everything, and then you're going to get to work with someone like Frank, who's an expert with all these different blueprints, to determine what are we building here, what's going to be the most comfortable fit for you. And just like with any project, you need to know the specifics of what it's going to look like in order to be comfortable, which is, like when I walk in, I'm walking into the entrance of the house and the kitchen's in the back. We pick 2 bedrooms, that kind of thing. You're not just like, well, build me a house and then you just walk in and you don't you wouldn't be comfortable investing in that, saying that, you're going to put, because at the end of the day, this insurance is helping to protect your assets. It's how you're going to spend your money every single month in terms of your medical expenses. If a large expense comes up, you want to be prepared for all of those things.
Absolutely. I think that was beautifully said. You need the base with your A and B, and then that finishing touch is going to be your C. So those blueprints. So well said. And I kind of want to piggyback off of something that you said and with that Medicare C. Since that's the blueprint, and like you said, we're building something, there are just a ton of different plans out there for folks. So there's not any sort of specific plan that's going to meet your need and your friend's need and your family members' needs. These plans are catered directly, specifically for you, yourself.
So that means, when people ask you the question, what is the best plan to couple with my Medicare coverage? What is the answer to that?
Well, if there are some medications on the list, and if there's a lot of doctors on the list, then I don't specifically know.
Sure.
We have to put the information in. When I get a clean slate on our questionnaire, meaning, maybe a couple of tier 1 medications, I kind of feel like I would know the best plan for them at that point. But when it comes to, having different medications, different doctors and things like that, we definitely want to put that information in the system and make sure that we're going with the best plan specifically for that formulary.
Right, because like you kind of said, there isn't one best policy out there. It's really about what are your doctors, what are your prescriptions, and not only that, it's also about how do you use your plan. Then all of those things really fit very nicely into this idea of like you're building a house. Well, everyone has a slightly different lifestyle. Everyone has slightly different health needs. So it's really important, especially when you're making a big decision like this, because for the majority of people, their employer picked their plan for them, or they have 3-4 options that their employer gave them, and they're picking out of this. With Medicare, you have not only a choice to make between a Medicare Advantage and a supplement, but you also, inside of those two choices, have dozens of options to couple with those things. So working with someone that knows all of those choices really just cuts down on your time, because you're getting inundated with like every leaflet, every advertisement, every phone call for all these companies. They all say they're the greatest. Well, they could be for someone, but maybe not you.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of have someone that will be able to not only explain what the medical and prescription benefits are, but also if you are someone that might be looking for some other amenities, like you would like a pool in the back. I think Frank's a great resource in order to let you know, like, what are some of the extra benefits available to you through Medicare that most people don't consider part of their medical expenses, but we can loop them in and really change what their overall expenses are.
Absolutely. So there are plans out there with incredible extra benefits. Even traditional Medicare now has plans with extra benefits. They had plans with extra benefits, but I'm seeing them more with other companies now.
That's great.
And not just necessarily, one or two companies. So it's becoming more and more competitive. The plans are getting more stronger. Did I say that right?
More stronger. More strong?
More strong.
Either way, I think this is one of the examples of, with insurance, everyone is automatically adversarial. Like, insurance company trying to take your money, you wanting to pay as little as possible for it, you feeling like you're paying a ton and not getting much for it. So, like, the situation is already not ideal. Also, you're using this policy because you're not well. Like, so there's already like anxiety around insurance. People don't totally understand it because it looks like it's written in English, but none of the words make all of that much sense. Medicare is the only sector of insurance where the enrollees are in the driver's seat. Like 250,000 people turn 65 every month in this country. Every insurance company is vying for your business because they're getting government money to insure you. They're getting your money to insure you. they want these policies, and that's why these policies continue to improve. That's
right.
why benefits are being added places there weren't before. That's why you're seeing enhanced benefits from year to year, because they want your business.
That's right.
And like Frank talked about at the beginning of this segment, everyone's tools and safety gear, so A and B is identical for everyone. That means the only differentiating factor that these insurance companies have in most cases is what are the extra things they can offer you. So they're going to try and make them as lucrative for you as possible. So you get to make the decision. Your policies are getting better from year to year, whereas people under 65 probably listening, like wishing their lives away, hoping they could get there because the policies are so expensive. The benefits aren't that great. So as opposed to looking at Medicare as something that is scary because you haven't done it before, I would say let's look at this as a great opportunity for you to really design the benefits that you've wanted and then actually be able to use them.
Absolutely. And I think most people are relieved whenever they can drop a COBRA or an employer's coverage that's a little bit pricey for them and they can come on Medicare. I've had, clients of ours that, they thank me that they can get off of COBRA because they thought they had to stay on COBRA
until it was finished.
Yes, and pay $1,200 a month until 18 months, and it does not work like that.
Right. The great thing is COBRA gets to be that bridge for you. You want to retire before you're 65, but you don't have other coverage available to you. Well, COBRA is going to get you to Medicare, but you get to drop it the minute you're eligible for Medicare, and usually that could be a 50 to 75% a month savings in terms of premium expenses for you. So there are a lot of good pieces to Medicare, and I think part of that is sitting down with an expert when it comes time for you to make that transition, because for a few reasons. Number one, security comes from knowing what's coming next. So being able to sit down with someone like Frank who can tell you, well, if you choose this policy, this is how it's going to work. Like, you don't have to worry about all these government rules. You don't have to worry about who gets paid how and when. It's you just know how the policy functions for you, what you have to pay and when versus government contributions and things like that. But then the other piece of it is, you get to choose the policy that fits you the best. So not only do you know how it works, you know that you've selected something that you're comfortable with, and then Frank will review it for you every year. So as your health changes and the policies change, both of those things can be true, your health insurance can continue to track your health.
That's right.
We can, really tailor your needs. If you give Frank a call at 314-863-0008. Also, if you're someone that's unsure, we've talked a lot about when do I come on to Medicare. I know you spent last week talking about enrollment periods and when is it time. Well, Frank's here, even if it turns out that it's not quite time for you yet. We'll put a plan to, he'll put a timeline together to say, well, if you're not planning to retire for 6 months, I'll give you a call back in a couple of months. This will be something you don't have to think about.
Absolutely.
So we can make the transition easy, which means that you won't run into any of those mistakes that people sometimes make or missteps that need to be corrected, which can often make you feel like Medicare is a lot more complicated and scary than it has to be.
Very good point.
Right. Anything else that you'd like to add for us before we take our first break of the hour, Frank?
I just want to just kind of piggyback off of something that you said with this choice selection and stuff. With the traditional Medicare and the Medicare Advantage, I'm finding that traditional Medicare plans are having some great added benefits that I kind of want to talk about that a little bit later if we have some time.
Absolutely. You know what? Right before we get to that, I would just like to. We did get a great text question for you, Frank. Can you discuss a situation where it would be advantageous to stay on COBRA past 65?
I don't think that it would be advantageous. If you are past 65, you should just come on to Medicare because those COBRA premiums are extremely high. And on top of that, I don't want to get too deep into this, but on top of that, COBRA isn't necessarily deemed credible with Medicare. So you kind of gotta watch out for those little small tricky rules like that, because after you turn 65, if you stay on another insurance coverage, it has to be equal to or better than Medicare, and COBRA is not deemed equal to or better than Medicare.
So Frank said it the very nice way. I would say this. There is never an example. There is never a situation where it would be advantageous for you to stay on Medicare. Like, rarely can I be definitive about things, but just like Frank said, COBRA was created for individuals. It's not a policy. It's legislation that Congress passed that makes your health insurance portable. It's only portable in the event that you don't have access to qualified coverage. Medicare is qualified coverage. So no one's coming in the cop car to take you away in the orange jumpsuit because you stayed on COBRA too long. But here's what Frank didn't say is what happens if you exceed your initial election period by staying on COBRA. When you come off COBRA 18 months later, or whatever time frame that happens to be, Medicare's not letting you on. You have to wait until Medicare open enrollment, and that's not October 15th through December 7th. That's January through March, and you don't get coverage till July. So you could be putting yourself in a situation where now you're paying astronomical amounts of money for very limited coverage because most people don't insure on the individual level over 65 because Medicare does that. So after we take our first break of the 10 o'clock hour, Frank will be back with us for a few moments to discuss some of those extra benefits that we haven't gotten into yet.
Awesome.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach, and we'll be right back.
If you are a person who desires the very best, your Lemke Appliance Center has great news for you. Now, through the end of June, your Lemke Appliance Center and KitchenAid have teamed up to bring you special midsummer pricing. Now is your chance to turn your kitchen into that extra special place of KitchenAid achievement. Everything needed, from KitchenAid wall ovens to warming drawers, to beverage centers, to wine cellars, to custom ice makers. All the very best, and now being featured during Lemke's KitchenAid Midsummer event. Now is the time to act. Lemke has everything you need for your custom KitchenAid kitchen during this Midsummer extravaganza. Now at your locally owned and operated Lemke Appliance Center, 200 West Lockwood in the heart of Webster Groves. Be sure to ask about our multi-purchase rebates.
I'm Jennifer Blome. Warm weather is here in St. Louis, and it is the perfect time to plant. Pasiglia's Nursery and Garden Center has been in our region since 1950. It's a third-generation family-owned business that has grown to become one of the premier nurseries in St. Louis. It's such a great place to visit. Located in Wildwood, you'll find 10 acres of beautiful, high-quality trees and shrubs, perennials and annuals, and planters. And Pasiglia's experts will answer all your questions about where to plant things so they'll thrive. The staff works year-round on landscape design plans and on installations as weather allows. So whether you want an outdoor fireplace, a brick patio, a kitchen, or a front or backyard landscaping plan, they'll make your vision a reality. Pasiglia's Nursery and Garden Center in Wildwood at the corner of Clayton Road and Highway 109. They're open 7 days a week. You can also check them out online at pasiglia.com. Don't forget to tell them KTRS sent you. Drug and alcohol abuse are reaching epidemic proportions, and it's easy to hear the numbers and forget all about the person. The Salvation Army Rehab Center provides men with the chance to recover through spiritual guidance, counseling, work therapy, and life skills. You can help by shopping at the Salvation Army thrift stores or donating gently used items. Just call 314-535-0057 for free pickup, or go online to satruck.org for more information.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. I have Frank still with us through the break to talk a little bit more about Medicare during our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment. But you are welcome to continue to send us texts, 84126 from the text line, or give us a call, 931-5877. We have a few more texts to get to after we finish up our chat with Frank, but we had a final comment about our last question, which was, can you discuss a situation where it would be advantageous to stay on COBRA? And then the follow-up was, my COBRA fee at age 65 is $350 a month. Same answer. Same answer. Well, first of all, man, $350 a month is more expensive than you're going to be paying for Medicare, most likely, just depending upon what your income is. And secondly, like we talked about, it's not about price. It's about enrollment opportunities, and you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. So same answer. Oh, and we have the same question twice. Where is Jeff? Is someone missing my sweet father? He's golfing. You know, when you join JBL Financial and become a part of our family, then you get the joy of sometimes golfing in, exciting tournaments with my dad. He likes to go out with the clients, so he is out this morning attempting to win some sort of golf tournament at the Legends.
That sounds fun, though.
I mean, at least they got nice weather.
Beautiful outside this morning.
I'm sure he would much rather be here with us because he often says that is the case. But I'm sure he misses all of you. He's on assignment. Yes, that's where he is. He's on assignment, chatting away with one of our clients, probably, of course, about retirement planning, because what else would he be doing on a beautiful Saturday morning? But he'll be back next week, team. Don't worry, all of his Team Jeff fans. He isn't going anywhere. Okay, Frank, tell us, if people want to put pools in the back of their Medicare homes.
How would they go by doing that?
Right. What excellent other benefits for individuals that are jumping onto Medicare can you tell us about, so they can, some people that are already on Medicare, maybe you don't know you have these benefits.
Absolutely.
Or secondly, maybe you're more excited about turning 65 now that you hear about what you get.
I get a lot of emails about folks asking me about things within their own plans.
Sure.
Specifically, not even like clients of ours, because clients of ours, they know. I tell clients of ours.
Give them a rundown.
Exactly. They know. But I get emails from folks, out listening to the radio show or word of mouth. Hey, this guy Frank could let you know.
Sure.
And they ask me, hey, do I have silver sneakers, for instance, in my plan? Do I have any dental benefits in my plan? So I mentioned earlier that traditional Medicare normally does not have added benefits, but what we've seen over the last couple of months is that some of these plans are starting to add more benefits, and like you mentioned earlier, competition sakes.
Sure.
They're probably strengthening these plans so that they can be competitive with the next insurance company.
Sure.
So I'm finding that if you have a plan, a traditional Medicare Medigap plan, okay, so a Medicare supplement.
So if your policy has a letter G, F, N, L, K, any of those,
then you're actually entitled to some benefits, so some extra benefits with some of these companies.
So not every carrier offers these benefits. I know that Anthem offers silver sneakers.
Yes.
Anthem Blue Cross. So if you happen to have a supplement through them, you'll get silver sneakers.
AARP.
Okay.
So they have a wellness package now. Same thing as Anthem with silver sneakers. It's just called Renew Active. They just use different terminology, but it's the same thing.
So AARP is underwritten by United Healthcare. So United Healthcare being one of the larger insurers, they like to market their own products more specifically. So Renew Active, if you've heard of silver sneakers, it's that free gym membership. Renew Active, same thing, just through United Healthcare. The network options are a little bit different though, right? Like which gyms are on each.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I have found that the Y is pretty much on everybody's list.
Got
but
ya.
when it comes to like your club fitness or your Lifetime or Anytime, those would be, specifics like AARP. They may like Lifetime and not Club Fitness.
Got ya.
So, yeah, you do have to, log in, and I can do this for people. I have done this for people. Just log in online, put your zip code in to Renew Active or Silver
Full
Sneakers.
Service.
Full
We'll even
service,
find
that's
out
right.
if your gym is, if you have to switch gyms or if you get the. And I would just like to preface this part of our conversation with this is something that happens after you determine what best medical options there are for people.
Absolutely.
Like once you figured out the doctors, the prescriptions, then this is I would call this the fun part where you get to hear about like what the the goodie bag you get when you leave the party is kind of thing, because we don't want these benefits to drive what your overall health insurance benefits are. That is like the tail wagging the dog, but it's always nice to know all the goodies that you get.
Oh, absolutely. And I always tell people never select a plan by the added benefits of the plan. So that's a great point. So AARP, they're going to offer you that Renew Active, and they're also going to offer you 30 to 40% discount on your dental.
So do you need a network for that, or is that, you don't know?
I don't think, with AARP, I would not think so, since it is under traditional Medicare. I don't think you need a network, but that's something we can confirm.
Perfect. So they'll even offer, so this is not a dental policy, it's a discount option available to you.
Exactly. Just discount option, 30 to 40% off. And I know that that's actually big for some people, because I get a lot of clients and they like that Plan G.
Right.
I mean, they love how comprehensive that Plan G is. It covers everything except for $233 out of the year. And they want to be on that Plan G. And
Plan G is that supplement. You're going to pay, what is it now, like $150 a month?
About $150 a month.
And it's going to cover everything but your prescriptions and $233 deductible.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's correct.
One of the drawbacks, potentially, is that you don't get any extra benefits.
Right. You don't get any dental. A lot of people like Medicare Advantage because they get a little bit of dental in there, even if it's, and we'll talk about this in a moment, but even if it's just $1,000 benefit, people love that benefit.
And so now AARP United Healthcare has added in a discount program to their supplement. So you get a little bit of Medicare Advantage, but you still get the supplement that you originally wanted.
Absolutely. At no additional cost. I mean, you're still making your monthly payment for your premium.
But no extra premium for the
no extra premium.
Cool.
Exactly. So I like that traditional Medicare. I'm starting to see the competitiveness between these companies. I feel like there's going to be more added benefits that I'm going to see with Aetna. I think I'm going to start seeing some stuff from them. And I think that Anthem is also going to start doing some sort of dental option as well. Now, with Medicare Advantage, these are those $0 premium plans that include your health coverage, your Part D, so your prescriptions,
right,
your dental, vision, and hearing, and that's an added benefit that we're going to talk about. Over-the-counter benefits for some of these carriers that we're going to talk about. And then, of course, we mentioned your Silver Sneakers, your Renew Actives, and things like that.
And I think this is part of the piece that comes in where we're really able to quantify what are extra expenses that you've been paying out of pocket your entire life for. Because most people don't think about medical expenses as I have this bucket of money over here to pay my, monthly copay, my copay is to see the doctor, or my monthly premium, because it's coming out of your paycheck and you're just flipping the doctor whatever the copay is out of your pocket. So you're not really setting aside extra money. But if you really quantify the gym membership, what dental expenses you have every year, some extra money for over-the-counter expenses. When you put all of that together, even hearing aids, which I don't like to juke the stats with that number because not everybody needs the hearing aids, but if you did, like, oh my gosh, we're talking about thousands of dollars that you're saving every year, and you're not paying anything for it because you have a zero premium policy.
That's right. That's right. So when it comes to the dental part of it, of the benefit, most of the carriers, I probably say upwards of 90% of the carriers, are just going to get $1,000 flat straight for dental. Most of the carriers, the way that it works is you just pay up front and then you just get reimbursed on the back end. There's a form that I can email out to anyone. You fill out the form and they'll send you a reimbursement check on that.
How nice is that? And also, like, literally almost everything's included. So, like, you don't have to worry about a covered service or a non-covered service. You just use your dental, and then when it's maxed out, you maxed it out. But you didn't pay anything for it, so you truly got, the $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
And if you really need the dental, there are other options out there for you. There's some
private
higher
coverage. Yeah.
Yep, there's some higher dental that some companies have. $2,000 for dental if you really need it, like if you're going to get a crown out or something like that.
Sure.
So there are options for dental based off of what you need, but of course you'll always couple this, like we talked about, with your health first. Okay. We're not just going to pick a plan because you get $2,000 worth of dental if it's not the best health coverage for you first.
Got ya. So we have a question. So one of the texters would like to know, how does so they said the Renew Active dental benefit, but so I think what they mean is the United Healthcare dental benefit. How does that work exactly? So if you're using the supplement, you get a 30-40% discount on your dental services. How does if you happen to have a Medicare Advantage plan with United Healthcare, is that a reimbursement? How does that one work?
Yeah, so you'll pay for it up front. So let's just say you get a cleaning and you get charged how much is a cleaning? $200-$300. $200-$300 now?
$60.
So
how old are you, man?
Okay.
I thought you were our age. $60.
I'm from Cape Girardeau, so I don't know if stuff is just cheaper down there.
Have you heard of inflation? Well, what are you?
Okay. Well, maybe I haven't been to the dentist in a while.
Now we all know. Frank hasn't been to the dentist since 1974.
Oh my goodness! So if you're looking at $200 or $300 for cleaning, then you'll pay that up front, and then you'll get reimbursed on the back end. Again, there's a form out there that you can fill out. And I can send it to you. I can email it to you. You can stop by the office and pick it up.
Frank knows all about dental coverage, just not how to use it.
That's right. Good question, though.
Okay, so now we do have another Medicare question. Do you have many clients that use the medical sharing plans, so the MSA, so the medical savings account plans? If so, how do you view them as a viable option?
I think that they're a good option. Those Medicare savings plans, there's two of them really that you can basically choose from, and they're going to give you some cash to pay for stuff like going to the doctor or getting tests done.
Right.
They'll help pay for that type of stuff. I don't think that a lot of people know a lot about these plans.
I agree. They're newer to the market. They've only been here about 3 years. The thing that I really like about, so I would say, you make an excellent point, Frank. They'll give you money in order to pay for some of your medical expenses. These policies work really well for people that are accustomed to high deductible policies, which means like you don't have defined benefits when you are going to the physician. You also don't have defined networks, which is nice. So there's no network. You don't have specific co-pays to pay to the physician. You're going to pay out of pocket till about $3,200. Now, the insurance company is going to give you I'm sorry, Medicare itself is going to give you into a Medicare savings account money to help you pay for those things. If you don't use that money during the year, you get to carry it over to the next year. They give you the same allotment of money again based on when you enroll, and you can continue to build that up over time. So it's almost like a health savings account, but for Medicare. You can't contribute to it, only Medicare can. So I think this kind of lives in an interesting world because you have no network, so it's like a supplement, so you have a lot of freedom. But you have to be someone that's comfortable with a flexible expense in terms of your copay. So, for example, okay, Frank, how much do you think a primary care visit is without health insurance?
Without health insurance,
Yes.
a primary care visit is probably upwards of $100.
Okay, we'll take that. That works.
At least I go get checked up.
You've been to the primary.
I've been to the primary.
So if it's $100 to see the primary, you're going to be covered under what Medicare considers reasonable and customary. So you get the benefit of the Medicare discount. So let's say Medicare says, really a primary care visit should only be $80. You're going to spend $80 on that visit versus if you had a Medicare Advantage plan, you're not going to pay anything for your primary care visit in most cases, or the copay. Or then secondarily, if you have a major medical expense come up, like a need for a specific test that's not considered preventative, things like that. The Medicare Advantage plans and the supplements, you'll know exactly what you're going to spend.
Yep.
With a Medicare savings account, it's going to be a little bit variable, but you do have that top end protection. So I think they're great options for people. I also think they're excellent options for people that maybe are using physicians that aren't accepting Medicare Advantage plans, but they're not seeing that many physicians. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility.
And I think that last thing with that is you do have to have a standalone Part D. So
Yes,
you got to get
do.
a couple with a separate prescription plan.
That is correct.
So that's something else, that you need to think about also, because some of those standalone prescription plans don't cover their prescriptions better than Medicare Advantage plans.
That's a
with
really
your
good
prescription
point.
plan already in it. So always take a look at all those options. I love that question. That's a great question. Always take a look at those options and see which one's going to be best for you.
Excellent.
And I can help with that.
Well, if you need help with any of your Medicare needs, you have any Medicare questions, please give Frank a call at 314-863-0008 or send him an email, Frank Lin, at jblfinancial.com. Thank you for joining us this morning, Frank.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And good luck to Jeff if you're out there listening.
Yes, hit them straight or whatever one might say. We're going to take our second break of this hour, and when we get back, we'll talk some more about Straight Talk on retirement.
Hey, nothing more fun than showing off something new you did to your house. But, if it's your roof, it's a little tough to say, hey, climb up this ladder and get a look at this. But you know what? If weather has its way with your home, it'll destroy things on the inside. All of a sudden, your big investment becomes a big problem. Protect it. Allen Roofing has done so for hundreds. No, change that. Thousands of St. Louisans. Of course, they got a 50-year head start on the new guys, but they will take care of that and anything you can see from your driveway. If it's your gutter, if it's your downspout, if it's tuck pointing, all of that work they can tend to. For a whole new roof or just a little corner of it, just a side job, they treat everything like you're the only customer that they've ever had. It's why people come back, and it's why 50 years later, we still talk about them. Allen Roofing and Siding online at aroofing.net.
Come on, start already. Come on, you rigid flabbergasted.
Is it time to make a change with your lawn equipment? Hi, this is Frank Blair from Schnarr's Hardware. The next time you're ready to do lawn work, have the next best thing to a professional lawn crew waiting for you. Reach for the tools they rely on. Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. For power and durability, season after season, Echo Power Tools have been the choice of professionals for years. Every engine carries the highest performance rating available, and every product is backed by the industry's only 5-year consumer warranty. And in the unlikely event your Echo sounds like the beginning of this commercial, bring it to us. We're a servicing dealer. So come to Schnarr's Hardware and let us help you put an Echo in your garage. We're open 7 days a week, so call us at 314-993-0910 in Ladue or 314-961-4522 in Webster Groves. For address, hours, or to shop online, go to schnarrs.com. It's easy when you start at Schnarrs.
Change happens. Sometimes for the better, and sometimes you wonder, wow, that change didn't make much sense. One thing you never have to wonder about are big changes at the Big 550 KTRS. We are firm and enduring with a huge commitment to the community, and you'll always get ABC Network News, along with local news, traffic, weather, and sports from the most recognized and trusted voices in St. Louis. The Big 550 KTRS. Depend on it.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. The text line has finally just exploded. We have quite a few. Frank really got the team going.
Medicare is very, very popular.
A lot of people use it. A lot of people on it. A lot of people need it. But you can continue to text us at 84126. Or, we haven't had a call since Bob early this morn, 931-5877. So this text came in a bit ago. I didn't want to interrupt Frank. He was on a roll. Good show this morning. Is there a product out there that if you pay into a policy for long-term care, such as a nursing home, and find out that you don't really need it, can it be converted to a life policy or cash value? Example, you're in good health, you're age 85 years old, but would like to have some money. Yes. There are two essentially different types of long-term care policy. There's a comprehensive policy that one might use. It's a traditional insurance policy, which you pay premium every month. And when you trigger your benefit, which in this particular case for long-term care, you lose 2 activities of daily living. They're going to provide you with a monthly or daily benefit based on the contract that you signed and the premiums that you had been paying. The alternative to that is called an asset-based product. There are different forms that an asset-based long-term care policy can take. You can use a life insurance product that also adds a long-term care rider for you, meaning you already have a life insurance product, but you have added on a contingency for a long-term care benefit to protect you in that event. So you might be able to do a little bit of double duty with this in terms of making the decision, hey, I would like some long-term care protection, but the basis of what I want is life insurance. The other alternative would be an annuity. So most of the time, long-term care riders are added to a fixed annuity. Fixed annuities are contracts issued by insurance companies. They are not investment products because they are guaranteeing you a fixed rate of interest over a certain amount of time. They often have penalties and restrictions for liquidity reasons, meaning you're going to be restricted in how much and when you can pull the money out. However, what they also do is say, okay, you'll earn a fixed rate of interest on a amount of money that you invest. That would be a premium into the policy, but they'll add a long-term care benefit for you. So in the event that you need it, you can actually utilize the policy for long-term care. But at the base, again, you have a asset-based product that is always going to be yours. So as opposed to using a contract that I mentioned earlier, a comprehensive contract, those policies can offer you what are called non-forfeiture benefits, which means you can have a return of premium. However, that benefit is particularly expensive. So if you're someone that likes the idea of that likes the idea of long-term care insurance, but you're not fully committed to the idea of paying another premium, it might make sense for you to look into one of these asset-based products. The only caveat to that is, for most people, these are a little bit difficult to attain because the majority of individuals now spend their time putting money in pre-tax, right? They're contributing to their employer's retirement plan through payroll deduction. You're not creating a lot of after-tax savings for yourself. These asset-based products, because they're life insurance and also because any long-term care benefit available to you would be tax-free, you don't put these inside of IRA accounts. So you can't use pre-tax money in order to create these asset-based products. You have to use after-tax money. So that can be a stumbling block for some people. However, if you get started younger and this is a goal that you have, you might be able to build up some after-tax assets to use as part of a strategy for long-term care in the future. Good morning. Oh, this is one of our clients. Looking forward to meeting Robert. You know what? If you are still listening out there in Southern Illinois, you actually already met Robert at my parents' anniversary party. And a shout out to Frank.
He's great.
Frank is great.
Absolutely great.
And it's great to see him helping so many, not only of our clients, but of individuals that are looking for Medicare assistance specifically. Oh, we did get another Medicare. You know what? I'm going to be happy to answer this Medicare question. We will let no questions go unanswered today. Oh, that you can laugh. Can't talk, but all right. At age 65, I'm still working and on company insurance. Should I stay or take Medicare? So unfortunately, I can't fully answer this question, but I'll give you the basics. If your employer has more than 20 employees, most likely you should stay on your employer-based coverage. The reason for that is your premium comes out pre-tax. It's really hard to beat free money. You're getting a discount on your premium. Also, your employer is helping to contribute to part of that premium for you. So you're getting subsidized by the employer, getting a little bit of a tax break. And if you happen to have a spouse that isn't 65 yet, you are tethering them to they are tethering them to health insurance benefits that they wouldn't necessarily have access to, and those individual benefits before 65 can be incredibly expensive. The other reason why you most likely want to stay on your employer-based plan is because for most people, Medicare is more expensive than if you're being subsidized by an employer. Because if you think about it, your premium costs X, they're paying up to 75% of it. You're getting a discount on taxes. All Medicare premiums are after tax. So unless your employer has less than 20 employees, most likely you want to stay with your employer-based coverage until you retire. And the great thing is that Medicare gives you the opportunity to bypass your initial election period at 65 and use a special election once you are ready to retire and lose coverage. My goodness, here we go. Do any of the plans or MSA plans cover alternative medicine doctors? So MSA plans are Medicare Savings Account plans, so we're still talking about Medicare. Cover alternative medicine, i.e. doctors of oriental medicine, functional medicine, chiropractors. I spent thousands on these kinds of doctors and rarely visit a conventional medical doctor, yet pay so much for the premiums I don't use. I've definitely heard of this before. People are interested in a more holistic approach to their medical care, so they're no longer utilizing Western medicine as frequently. Medicare is a government program at its base, so it's very slow to incorporate new changes. However, chiropractic care is something that is covered. Functional medicine, you will have to have a specific prescription written, and I've heard of doctors being able to write prescriptions that will cover functional medicine. I'm not sure and can't give 100% on acupuncture. That would be like Eastern medicine. I don't know if they've added that in yet, but the best opportunity for you to use, for you to have some of those expenses paid for would be through a Medicare Savings Account plan, because they're going to be a little bit more flexible than what your current policy is offering. Now, the loophole to the MSA plans is if you use the money for something that's not covered by Medicare, you can still use the money. It's just that you're going to end up spending more when it's time for you to pay for medical expenses, because the idea is that the government is going to give you a set amount of money, let's say $3,000 a year, to cover your medical expenses. Well, if you spend it on other things, you still have a deductible to meet of about $5,000. So every dollar that you spend on other places, well, if you have no intention of ever using Western medicine, then it wouldn't hurt you. But let's say you spent your $3,000 on chiropractors and then unfortunately you tripped on the curb, broke the ankle, and now you've got rehab and x-rays and visits to the ER. You're going to have to pay out of pocket till you get to that $5,000, and Medicare comes in and picks back up again. So it's all your money. It's how you want to spend it. So that would give you a little bit more flexibility. Oh, this is a great question, because it's a pain point for quite a few people. Is it unusual for long-term care policies to have rate increases periodically? No. Unfortunately, no. In fact, I would say it's par for the course in terms of increases. long-term care policies are notorious for having rate increases. However, most insurance companies, when they offer you the opportunity to pay more for the same thing, they will also offer you the opportunity to make modifications to your benefits, which will help contain the premium increase. So, for example, if you've owned the policy for 15 years, they may say to you, well, here's one of the options. Don't pay anything else to us anymore, and all the premiums you've paid in you can use for long-term care down the road. Or let's limit your benefit period, and we can decrease that premium expense. Or let's subtract some other benefits. It might not be the benefit of time. It might be a decrease in your $1-a-day benefit. You have a lot of choices there. I would say that the times in which people see the people that see premium increases the most with long-term care benefits are often individuals that have added additional riders to their policies. So, for example, if you added a inflation protection rider, you're one of the first people to get that premium increase, and that makes sense because the benefit you originally bought is going up every single year based on a specific number that you elected inside of the policy, be it a 5-year compounding inflation protection. Well, that means the insurance company's having to pay out every year more theoretically for you if you are ever to go on claim. So, although it is common to see rate increases, long-term care is a really important part of most people's financial game plan, and there are ways to contain those costs. So it's important to chat with a professional about that. Looks like we've come to the end of the show. Thank you this morning for joining me, Robert. We'll see you all next Saturday. I'm Erin, the retirement coach.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more straight talk on retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.